Alright guys, and welcome back to a brand new live stream on the Crypto Geek channel. Again, we are back live streaming to you guys about the Ukrainian-Russian crisis. This is something that we have been constantly paying attention to. We've been streaming it for about a week and a half now since this whole thing started. And we do have some updates. We're again constantly paying attention to what's going on so we can update you on what we have. As of now, and as of the most recent news, we did see, and this is quite important here, that Russia has backed, or that the U.S. has really backed down from, doing any type of, no-fly zone in Ukraine, rejecting even what the Ukrainian president has said. Of course, we've seen President Zelensky really desperately ask for support by the U.S. and by Western countries and European countries to really enforce that no-fly zone on top of Ukraine, because they were taking major hits, and as of now, they are still taking huge hits to the Ukrainian force. What we have noticed in the last few days, actually, and this is something that we've been really paying close attention to, is really what is the comparison in terms of damage? Which side is really getting hit the hardest? And what we're noticing is that yes, Russia is losing significantly more troops, but in terms of actually how many missiles are really hitting Ukraine, the very big comparison. There are definitely more missiles than troops in terms of that, and Ukraine is definitely taking significantly bigger of a hit than even Russia. Is. Even though Russia has really taken a big hit, they've lost over what the Ukrainian president says is 9,000 Russian troops have been casualties of this war, and there's only more and more happening. And of course, a lot of these, that's ignoring the fact of wounds. Of course, there's thousands of other ones wounded. Okay, welcome. Hi, Cuphead. How's it going, Paul? Before we get started into this, because there's a law we have to discuss about, everybody right now, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this to your friends and family. I want everybody to hit the like button. There is almost 90 people. I want 90 likes. If everybody does their part, hits the like button, it lets people know what's going on in Ukraine, and it lets people really get informed about this huge thing. Point Click says, Zelensky fabricated the damage to the nuclear plant to try and pull a U.S. NATO into this firefight. Is it possible? Yes, but again, we don't really know. There was, though, guaranteed that there was a fire inside the actual power plant. Who started it is two different stories. Russia said that there was battles and that they were getting attacked from a building nearby the plant, the nuclear plant, and that caused them to have to retaliate. And when they retaliated, the building was so close to the nuclear facility site that it was hit, because again, they don't have exact accuracy. But on the other side, you have Russian troops say that it was an offensive by Russia to try and really cause the most damage as possible. Jack says, hello, I'm here from Ukraine. Welcome, Jack. Do you feel comfortable saying which city you're in? Are you in Kiev, the capital? And I'd be more than happy, actually. Hey, Jack, if you would like to come onto the stream and just let us know your perspective, I'd be more than happy to bring you on. We'll hear what you have to say, and we'll definitely hear what you guys are thinking in Ukraine. Feel free, the Discord is down below, and if you go in and you type your name, a moderator will pull you into the stream, and you'll be able to speak loud and live. But welcome everybody into the live stream. We are back streaming to you guys, 4 cameras, showing you exactly what's going on in the capital of Ukraine, Kiev, and more importantly, exactly what's going on in Ukraine. Of course, there has been a few, very, important things that we have to mention, and that is, there has been a complete blockade by Russian forces on the Ukrainian strategic port, Mariupol. And of course, this is so important for the Russians, because now they have the opportunity to really bring their troops, land their ships at that port, and really use it as a strategic tactical hub, where rather they weren't able to do so, especially after the Black Sea was closed off by the Turkish government. And again, what we also got is breaking news that, so Steve says, stand your ground, Ukraine. Point says, welcome, Jack. But we also got, again, news that Russia or Ukraine was pretty much begging the NATO and begging the European and Western countries to enforce a no-fly zone because they are really taking severe hits. We've seen many casualties in Kiev and in Kiev and Kharkiv, and in a lot of the major cities now taking huge hits by Russian air launches and by Russian missiles and Russian planes, and this is something that Russians are now coming back and redominating. Again, there was a time period that Russians were dominating. You had air defense systems come in, really take down a lot of these planes, but now as more and more planes and more missiles and missile launchers now, appear, there's really a significant advantage for the Russian side right now, and they're once again coming back and really starting to dominate again that aspect of things. So that is something again that is quite serious, and Ukraine really feels the hit, and that's why they are pretty much begging right now they're begging Western countries to really enforce that no-fly zone. In addition to that, we've seen President Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, really come and say, okay, we want to open up and we want to discuss and we want to open some type of truce or ceasefire with Russia, and he called the Russian president, Putin, to sit on the table so that they can really discuss that. Again, we can now see the desperation of President Zelensky as Russia really starts to put in some force. And this is without the huge convoy that is coming on its way 60 miles long, coming on its way to Kiev, that is absolutely pretty much, if they launch a full-scale invasion, is going to pretty much obliterate it. And they know that as well. Russia's quite, when it comes to that stuff, especially since Putin mentioned it, he mentioned that they will put any offensive, whether it impacts anybody, is not his problem as long as they reach their goal. And I think they know he's serious. Ukraine knows he's serious. The U.S. and Western countries know he's serious. And that is going to be something that plays a big role, because if he decides to go full-scale invasion on Kiev, know that Kiev is not going to exist anymore. There's going to be no city. It's going to be rubble. And that's the real big worry. How many casualties are going to come from an attack like this is the scary part. Now, guys, I'm going to be live streaming for the next 48 hours because I feel like this is a very important time, honestly. This is the 6 a.m. mark for Kiev specifically is always a mark. It's currently 6:30, 6:26. Relaxes. I heard the bridge has been blown up, stopping the convoy. Yes, but they are in the process of rebuilding it as of now. I heard they were rebuilding it, and they're pretty much done. There was also a bit of logistical problems between gas shortages and food shortages, of course. That's what I heard as well. Point says, after learning more about the Biden bribe tapes and 2014's Western influence in the coup on Ukraine, it's difficult to believe the Western narrative. But yeah, guys, I'm going to be live streaming for the next 48 hours. I'm doing my part of showing you exactly what's going on in Ukraine and letting you guys know all the latest news. So you do your part by just hitting the like button. Something that simple really impacts a lot, and it boosts this stream on the YouTube algorithm. Share this to your friends and family. Let them know what's going on in Ukraine and all around the world. It's always important because this is a global issue. It's not just a Ukraine issue. This is a global issue with the rise of inflation, of gas, food, everything. This is one of the main sources. So like the live stream, share it to your friends and family, and if you want to support the stream, buy me a cup of coffee because it's going to be a long night. You can use that super chat button. It would definitely be appreciated. Relax says, that's when they need to attack the convoy, totally non-stop. They tried to do that, and they did get, so we've heard already confirmed sources that over 800 convoy vehicles and over 1,000 Russian personnel have been killed as part of the convoy because of that issue where really Ukrainians were able to pick them off. And they destroyed an entire convoy. It was up north and just completely demolished it. I don't know if you guys have seen the videos, but they definitely gave Russia a big hit. But yeah, guys, again, we are more than happy. If anybody is opposing or is with the Russian or Ukraine side, I'd be more than happy to set up some type of debate. All you have to do is go in the Discord down below, click the link. There's a Discord link. You join the chat. Sam says, I'm making a fresh pot of coffee. Who else wants some? I'd be more than happy. I have a cup of coffee right here, but it's almost done. So if you want to buy me a coffee, there's always the super chat button. It's really nice. But Again, there is a Discord link down below. If you want to participate, if you want to add anything to this, I'd be more than happy to invite you. Or if two people want to debate something, again, more than happy to kind of host it for you. All I ask is that it's respectful and it's a respectful debate and discussion. Or if you want to add something, the link is down below and I'd be more than happy. We have some moderators that are going to put you into the stream and you'll be able to get heard live. So join the link down below, guys. If anybody wants to comments, questions, yeah, feel free to do so as well. But again, we are streaming live to you guys the Ukraine situation. Again, we do have a lot of sources that we are getting our information from. My colleague also might come on later. We'll have to see, how everything is on his end. For the last little bit, we have seen, Kiev relatively quiet, and we have seen it. I think today and a little bit yesterday before the nuclear attack was, decently quiet actually. The only thing that worries me is that President Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, mentioned it loud and clear. He told people to get out of Kiev because they're going to be doing an attack. Now, he didn't specify, and this could be the time period where he's giving them time from the time he stated till now to leave. And that's when, after this time period, he's going to say, I warned you guys. I gave you guys already 2-3 days. Nobody left. Now you face the consequences. And if he launches a full-scale invasion, there's going to be severe casualties. So this could be the worry. That really this is his grace time before he goes the full-scale invasion and really could, do some serious damage. And again, this is one of the worries that I've spoken to a lot of people about, and a lot of people have said the same thing. They are frightened that this could be the grace period where that Russia and Putin have been talking about. Point Click says, feel free to email me, Noodles. I'm thinking of us starting a media agency too. Let's see. Noodles said, I need a job with a media analyst company. Interesting. Both sides. Noodles says both sides leave no middle. Relaxes. I don't want Russia or Ukrainians to die, but if somebody's gonna attack you, is getting attacked, you are forced to defend your family and country. That's what Relax says. Again, if you would like to be part of a debate, again, if two people disagree or agree, I'd be more than happy to host it for you guys. Or if anybody has any comments or questions. Okay, guys, again, back with the latest news. As of now, we did get reports that officially Russia, or the NATO and U.S. has declined to host a no-fly zone in Ukraine. They said that would bring them into a battle, and they do not want a front case battle. On top of that, right now, the strategic Ukrainian port Mariupol has been blockaded and completely held by Russian troops, making it a strategic and tactical point for Russia, and it's kind of an entry point that they are basically now free to use at any point in time. And again, for anybody that joined right now to try and talk about this discussion or try and debate or have any comments or questions, all you have to do is type in the general chat of the Discord, which is linked down below, and I'd be more than happy to let a moderator put you in. But yeah, so strategic point has been now picked up. Noodle says, relax, Slabbear, I'm joining your team. Welcome, everybody. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that like button, guys. I'm doing my part of letting you guys know exactly what's going on in the capital of Ukraine, letting you guys see the news live and, again, unbiased. You're seeing it there. All I ask from you guys is to help support the stream by hitting the like button, letting people know what's going on, and letting them see exactly what's going on. In addition to this, if you want to share it to your friends and family so that they know as well, do that. And if you want to support me with a cup of coffee, that would be greatly appreciated using the super chat button. And again, this is live feed of exactly what's going on in the capital of Ukraine. We're seeing earlier in the night, we've seen again a little bit of clashes, not as much as what people had really expected. Again, this is the time period that we were really discussing between, when the real battle is going to start, when the minor battle starts, and then when the real battle starts. This is the grace period. This is the worry that this could be really the breaking point, and the point where sometime in this sometime in this real grace period, the quiet is when something will erupt, and that's going to basically cause a domino effect, and this is when things could really get serious. Whether it's by foreign interference or, anything is really going to be the breaking point at this time. And again, I want to welcome everybody to the stream. Again, we are watching Kiev live from the stream as things happen. And really, the big question as of now that we're looking at, and that is on the top of everybody's head, this quiet time. Why is it quiet? We see Russian troops trying to invade, and Ukrainians trying to defend. Why is there the quiet time? And the big worry is that this could be the quiet time that Putin warned about, where he said, everybody leave Kiev because they're going to pull out an invasion. And so maybe this is the time that he's letting people leave before they really launch a full-scale invasion and really go push hard in Kiev. This is his grace period for a lot of people, and really is his way of, when he launches the invasion, if anybody or there are any casualties, it's his way out, and it's his excuse that we gave this time for people to leave, and they didn't leave. So whoever stays now is battling us. Relax says, lull before the storm. Exactly. 100%. All right, so I do have my colleague that will be coming on right now. I'm about to bring him, and again, we're going to get his viewpoint on that, and really see what he has to say in terms of that aspect of things. Whoops. There's a bit of a lag spike. My bad, guys. I don't know if you guys can still hear me. Alright, guys. Let me know if you guys can still hear me. Alright, sorry about that, guys. There was a bit of a lag spike. Everything should be fixed now, but we're about to bring my colleague on, and let's see. Yeah, everything should be fine now.
Hello, hello.
All right, perfect, and welcome to the stream here.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Nice seeing all of you guys again on another day. I think we are entering day 10 of this invasion by Russian forces into Ukraine. A pretty eventful couple of days have passed, and you probably have heard about the bombing of the nuclear plant, one of the largest in Europe. So if you have any questions, happy to answer them. And if you've not clicked the like button, guys, as of yet, please do that. It helps with the stream, helps with the spread of the message. We're trying to do our part by giving you guys live feeds from Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, as you can see right in front of you. We're doing our part as streamers and as social media producers. You do your part by spreading this message, clicking the like button, sharing it with your friends and family on your Twitters and Facebooks and such.
So there was a question, and again, today has been relatively quiet in relative to again all the other days. Is there any meaning, or is this like maybe they're doing true stocks, or what do you think? What do you theorize on this quiet as of today?
I think what's happening right now is both sides are recuperating and replanning, their strategy into moving forward in this conflict. I think it has become clear that Russian forces that are heading towards the city of Kiev, or that have now probably approached the borders of Kiev, and are trying to implement a siege-style campaign, are a real threat to Kiev. And I think the leadership in Kiev, the president of Ukraine and such, know that the end, unfortunately, for Kiev and its ability to maintain its resistance is looking nearer by the day. So they are evaluating that part of things. On Russia's front, they know that they're likely to suffer some serious losses when they try to get into the capital, Kiev. So they're reevaluating their strategy into entering, whether besieging the city is really the right way, whether it's bombarding the city and hitting targets internal of the city is the way to approach it, or whether it's a full-on military invasion that includes bombardment of the city and advancement of their on-the-ground troops is what needs to happen. So you're getting this long period of reevaluation and re-strategizing of for both the Russian and the Ukrainian side of things, and reevaluating what the step moving forward. I think it has become clear that negotiations are not going to lead to a resolution to the Ukrainian-Russian problem. They've been sitting at talks for quite some time now, and there's nearly no fruitful events as a result. So you are looking at a military sort of solution to the conflict right now, and I think it's looking now closer than ever that Russia is going to take over the capital of Kiev. I know we hear people saying that the capital will resist, and I do sincerely believe that they will. There will be some resistance, but at the end of the day, Russian is significantly more advanced than the Ukrainian side, and without real intervention by the international community, and by intervention, I'm talking about troops on the ground. You can supply the Ukrainian military with all the weapons you can want. You can supply them with air defense systems. You can supply them with airplanes, but implementing those on the ground requires training and requires a skilled force to be able to use this technology on the war field, and requires usually you hear countries undergoing extensive training and combined training between countries. This is years worth of preparation. So you can't just give people that have zero experience, military experience, all this medical equipment military equipment, and expect them to perform the way that a traditional military will. So yes, these military the military equipment is of help to Ukraine. Yes. Is it going to make a decisive difference in this battle? Absolutely not. I don't think it will. I think you need real armies with real experience, with training in the equipment that's being provided in order
Yeah,
to
definitely
actually
they have
make
to know how to use the equipment. The equipment is useless if they don't know how to use it.
Absolutely. And the people that are fighting in the capital, Kiev, right now have, their teachers and their skilled tradespeople. And, it's admirable that the fact that they're there to serve their country and try to protect their freedoms and, resist against the occupied Russia. But in terms of on the ground performance, military performance, I think it lacks comparison, the power on both sides. And I think part of the reason that Russia has not yet been able to enter Kiev is the low morale within their own soldiers. I mean, you're seeing Russian soldiers give up without even, attempting to go into the battlefield and fighting over. There's numerous instances where you see Russian troops, with military equipment and tanks, and they're being stopped by an average Joe within Ukraine. So this is low morale by Russian troops, and this is because the Russian troops, the vast majority of them, don't believe in the cause that Putin is sending them out to fight for. And you're seeing all these videos come out of people not even aware that they're going out to fight in Ukraine. It's they're being told it's a military drill. So I mean, there's a lot going on the ground. I think they're likely from a perspective in terms of what is going to happen over the next couple of days. I think they're likely to see intensive, the bombardments and the airstrikes intensify in Kiev as the air defense systems for the Ukrainians begin to be taken out. I think we've seen them be, taken out, the vast majority of them, but there is still a good chunk of air defense systems within the capital Kiev that are holding steady. I think there will be targeting those air defense systems by Russian forces. Once those are taken out, I think you're going to see a Russian domination of the airfield, and that's when I think you will begin to see some serious strikes. So I think this is what the Russian side are contemplating and what they're assessing is the attempt to demilitarize that air resistance sort of component in the in the Ukrainian military.
Now, we also recently heard NATO again. President Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, has really almost begged NATO and the U.S. to enforce a no-fly zone because of the bombardment and because, like you said, they do predict a severe hit by Russian troops on the Ukraine capital. They did also make it clear, though, as of now, even after the US and NATO clearly rejected it and said, we are not going to even help you with any no-fly zone. That's your problem. What does that mean for both Ukraine and how does Ukraine feel?
I think realistically, the world has made it clear from day one that they will not get involved in any way that risks Russia, attacking essentially any other country. And it's clear that the Russian army is prepared to go crazy, and not even the Russian army, the Russian leadership is prepared to go crazy. And I think the world has made it clear from day one that we will not get involved in any way that risks our own safety and our own countries. And this is what's happening on the ground. There is numerous times where the calls by Ukrainian officials and the calls by Ukrainian civilians to the international community gets, intense. And there's an emotional component to this war, absolutely. And I think this emotional component is playing in part in, the population of these countries. So you're having, Americans go out to the American government and say, people are crying, people are calling for our help, and this is putting more pressure on the government. And same goes for Canada and Australia and the vast majority of the European countries. A lot of the people within those countries want the countries to get involved in a bigger way. But I think it was made clear by the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan is that, yes, people may want the war right now, but when the people feel the repercussions and the results of the war, of countries getting involved in the war, they're likely to turn against their government, as happened in Iraq, as happened in Afghanistan, in the United States. People say, get into this war, but the war results in in a negative economic impact for the vast majority of countries. And you're risking the ground, and I think a lot of judgment calls are being made by leaderships within, globally, particularly within the European Union, because of their proximity to what is happening. And I think a lot of countries see themselves in the shoes of Ukraine, particularly countries that surround Russia. You're talking about Poland, and you're talking about all these relatively, weak countries and militarily. And again, we're talking compared to Russia.
Yeah. And
again, guys, I appreciate all of you being here. If you've not clicked the like button, please support this stream by clicking the like button.
Yeah, and Jeffrey says the dude that was cleaning has set the bar for job dedication. Yes, there was a cleaner in the street cleaning after the destruction of, Kiev and doing his job properly.
It's admirable what the Ukrainian people are doing. And this is not by any means when we say the Russian army is likely to take over Kiev. And this is not, talking bad about the Ukrainian people or their ability to resist. But at the end of the day, there's a saying, numbers outbeat, I don't know if it's a relevant saying, but numbers outbeat bravery. So, you could be a really brave soldier, but if you're being, there's 10 or 20 soldiers, compared to you and relevant to you or equivalent to you, you're going to lose that fight. And unfortunately, the Ukrainian people not only are outnumbered, they're outnumbered and outperformed in terms of technology and the presence of air and defense systems and the vast majority of military of the military aspects that we use to govern or determine who will likely win in a war. Now, I will be fair to say the fact that Ukrainians are fighting on their land is absolutely a huge advantage. And I think it's an advantage even from a military perspective because, they're more familiar with the terrain and they're more familiar with sort of underground, what is there, if there's tunnels, if there's any sort of these setups. The Russian military is going to lack knowledge of what happens there. And it's going to take a lot of intelligence to try and figure out. And in a war where time is of the essence, these things, awareness of the terrain, awareness of underground, if there's tunnels, if there's any, and awareness of where the fights are harder and where the fights are easier. Those sorts of things will have an impact. And I can tell you this: we've seen examples online and various videos about Russian tanks and getting stuck in the mud, and these are huge. This is a huge disadvantage to the Russians. If your tanks cannot cross across a specific area of Ukraine because of the type of terrain, then you're screwed. They're not going to be able to advance into the capital where your fights are. So these things matter in the battlefield, absolutely. But I think, again, overall, I think Russia outperforms Ukraine. I think there's no denying that. And I think even the Ukrainian leadership is aware of that. I just recently re-watched a video by the Ukrainian president, and he was saying, he's like, it's not that we want to talk with Russia, negotiate something. It's we have to. We have no option but to talk to Russia to try and end this war. And this is makes it clear that the Ukrainian president himself is aware that a win for Ukraine, an official win, and sort of, a military win is unlikely. I mean, Ukrainian president himself said that we need to speak to the Russian president because that is the only way we can end this war. He didn't say we can end this war by continuing to resist. Yes, resistance is part of what needs to happen in order for them to be able to negotiate. You cannot negotiate from a weak position. That is clear. In anything you can talk about that. In terms of even court cases, you can't negotiate from a weak position and settlements and such forth. You have to always negotiate from a position of strength. And I think that is what the leadership in Ukraine is attempting to do. If the resistance in Kiev is strong enough that Russians are feeling and Russian leadership is feeling the pinch, then they may be more open to particular points that, from negotiation points that are brought up when there is an attempt to negotiate. But again, I think it's clear to even the Ukrainian leadership that Russia does not want to negotiate, and they are seeking the military component in this battle. So we will see. We're looking at a matter of hours, I think, before we get a full-scale real war in Kiev, where you're going to see some artillery movement and you're going to see some bombardment and serious airstrikes. I think we have seen airstrikes on Kiev, but the intensity of the airstrikes, from what I'm seeing, is not intense as as expected of Russian and the Russian Air Force. So I think there's, again, concern by the Russian Air Force about the air defense systems present in Kiev. So I see the next step as those air defense systems being taken out. Once they are taken out, and let's hope that they're unable to do that, because once those systems get taken out, you're going to see some serious bombardment of the capital of Kiev. And this was made clear even by one of the points that Putin brought himself. At the beginning of this war, we are hearing Putin say, people of Kiev, surrender. Put your arms down. Put your weapons down. Don't let the Ukrainian army use your mothers and sisters as shield. But what are you hearing Putin saying now? He's saying, leave these parts of Kiev. This is clear indication that now everybody in Kiev or in these parts of Kiev is a military target. And they're seen as part of the Ukrainian military. So no longer is Russia trying to get the Ukrainian people and the people of Kiev on their side. Now they need to dominate the people of Kiev. And they see the people of Kiev as enemies. Now, how the Russian military on the ground will respond to that is yet to be known. I think, although I thought at the beginning it seemed like Russian military was, a full-on follower of Putin, and they were going to obey his commands like they were, they were the Bible, if you want to call it that. Now it is seeming on the ground that isn't the case. You're seeing the Russian military essentially disobey orders. When you hear about tanks with their tankers, with a hole in their tankers, this is holes that are perceived to be made by the soldiers from the Russian army. They put tanks holes in their tanks of their artillery. They're driving to Kiev. This is disobeying of orders. We may not see it that way, and the Russian, the media may not portray it, but that, in that way. But this is them disobeying orders essentially. Their orders were to reach Kiev and fight, and they don't want to fight. Now, how that will look on the ground, especially if they see the Ukrainian army fighting with high morale, these things are going to matter. These things are going to matter significantly. Guys, if you've not yet clicked that like button, please do that. It helps. We're trying to share the message and deliver you guys the live stream of what is happening on the ground. We ask that you do your part sharing this with your friends and family and on your Twitters and Facebooks. If you want to support us and the stream, you can do that by Super Chat. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's ever going to be a turning point? And again, like we've said, as of now, the Russian morale is quite down. It's declining again. The Russians don't understand the purpose of their fight. A lot of them are just coming in, and especially at a time right now where they're starting, or they have seen Russia take a significant hit military-wise, like those 800 or 1,000 vehicles that were destroyed. Do you think it's gonna could there be a turning point where that could switch and Russia's morale could come back and really the sides could switch where the morale shrinks for the Ukrainians and
yeah, I think what I really think is going to happen, I think there will come a critical point in this war, and I think it is approaching. Every single day that I'm seeing these videos come out, I'm reaching a conclusion that this point is going to come out, and the point where they start to see, the Russians start to see the Ukrainians, the soldiers I'm not talking about leadership here. The soldiers will begin to see the Ukrainians as the enemy, and that will happen the more casualties that the Russian forces feel, right? At the beginning, I mean, if you're not getting shot at, or your partner in war, your co-soldier is not being shot at or is not killed, you may be okay with saying, okay, they're Ukrainian people, they don't hate us, they hate the Russian leadership. But once you see your best friend or your coworkers get shot, then you're more likely to start targeting anything that you see move to try and attempt to save your life. And then the Ukrainian people really become the enemy of the Russian army. And I think we will see that more. It is a circle, guys. So the way this works now, as the Russians start to see that, say a soldier, for example, gets shot next to a group of soldiers, the other group of soldiers are more likely to fight back and shoot back. Now, if a Ukrainian civilian is killed, now that puts more pressure on the Ukrainian people to try and fight, and that will result in more casualties on the Russian side. And then you'll get more bombardments and more civilians being killed. And this will create a division, a divisive division between the Russian forces and the Ukrainian.
Sirens right now in Kiev.
You guys can hear the sirens.
Sirens in Kiev.
Yeah, sirens in the capital Kiev, yeah. And this is what I'm talking about. We're likely to continue to see airstrikes by Russian. I think the targets right now are going to be, the targets right now are going to be air defense systems in Kiev. Yeah, you can, guys. I will stay quiet for a couple of minutes there until the sirens go, so you can hear what is happening on the ground. Yeah. Any movements that you're seeing on the ground, Geek News?
As of now, it's really not clear. And I'm trying to see again. A lot of the cameras are situated in the inner circle, but there's a lot of clashes though. You can hear gunfire in the background.
You're hearing live sirens right now from the capital Kiev. This is what this signals is. I believe it's within 20 to 30 miles of the capital. If a Russian plane enters that airspace, that signals that this is what the siren indicates. So you're seeing some advancements. It looks like by the Russian Air Force.
There's
Here in the
definitely
chat.
some plane sounds in the sky right now. I hear some gunfire in the background.
Yeah, these are every minute right now is a critical minute in the advancement of what is happening in the Ukrainian capital. Yeah, guys. Yeah. So okay. Yeah, you're going to be seeing more of these air. Like I said, the next stage you're looking at serious airstrikes, and you're looking at taking out of the Ukrainian air defense systems. If those Ukrainian air defense systems in Kiev are taken out, you're going to see some real casualties on the Ukrainian side, unfortunately. And that's, I think, what we're starting to see. Yeah, again, guys, you're getting live images from the capital, Kiev, as we hear these sirens going off in the capital.
Again, the sound that's coming from and where the sound is coming from, this is the center of Kiev we're talking. This is not in a city that's normally bombarded. This is the center of Kiev, and this is where things are really starting to take action. Again, if Kiev is lost during this Ukrainian battle with Russia, basically signifies the end of the war with Russian winning. It's simple. And if they lose to the Ukrainian resistance, it really will boost the morale of Ukrainians and will really, show the Ukrainians that Russia isn't what they expect, and that, again, they're going to keep on fighting for their freedom. And look, Russia hasn't even. There's rocket fire, gunfire.
A loss to the capital, loss of Kiev is an end to this, essentially an end to this war in a Russian win, unfortunately. And so Kiev is the center of attention. Remember, right now, almost the entire Ukrainian military sits in Kiev in defense of the city. So if Russian forces are able to enter Kiev, this means an end to the Ukrainian military as we see it. And I'm reading in the chat, people are mentioning 13,000 foreigners enter to fight on the Ukrainian side. Guys, although I think this is, in terms of, it is a boost of morale. It's a great boost of morale. And yes, there are soldiers on the ground. But what really determines the war is not just any soldier. Anybody can come out and fight. But it's the experience of the soldier and the military gear and equipment that's offered. And even if you offer the best military gear to an untrained and unfamiliar soldier, they're not going to use it in a way that's going to benefit them significantly in war. So we still talk about a significant advantage to the Russian side, unfortunately. And again, the battle for Kiev is a battle that will determine the fate of this conflict. And that that has become a clear point. It was clear before, and it continues to be clear. And this is not me saying, or anybody saying, this is Ukrainian leadership. And even Zelensky himself, the president of Ukraine, made it clear that a loss of Kiev is really a significant loss to Ukraine. And essentially, it's an end of this war. I mean, like I said.
All right, guys, there is lots of fighter jets in the sky, can be heard in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev. In the sky, lots of gunfire right now taking hit. And again, a lot of you guys that have been able to hear it, it's been quite intense, honestly. As of now as well, I do want to let you guys know that we are streaming to you guys live from the capital of Ukraine with multiple cameras, letting you guys know exactly what's going on in the capital. Just earlier we heard some sirens, and so we only ask one thing from you guys, and that is that you hit the like button to boost this on the YouTube algorithm. Again, more gunfire, but to boost on the YouTube algorithm, to let people know what's going on in Ukraine. We're not doing this for us, we're doing it for the Ukrainians and for basically all around, for everybody around the globe. So hit the like button, guys. Let's get 500 likes.
I mean, you're getting various conflicting things. From Russian side, everyone in their own propaganda, what's happening on the ground. We are trying to give you a direct image, and you make your own decision. Now, this is first of all what's happening on the ground, and what is likely to happen in the days to come. But you make your own judgment based on what you see. What you're seeing right now from capital in Kiev, it is 7:01 right now a.m. in the capital, and the curfew is imposed from 8 in the morning. It's at 8 in the morning, and it's imposed from 5 p.m. to 8 in the morning. So within the next hour or so, you're going to see a lifting of the curfew. What that means, Kiev has been quiet even outside of the curfew hours because of the risk of bombardment by Russian forces, and the fear, the severe fear that is on the ground right now as things progress. Very scary situation, absolutely, for the Ukrainian people, and for the world as a whole. We've seen the targeting by Russian forces of the nuclear site, the largest nuclear site in all of Europe, targeted yesterday by Russian forces. I mean, an explosion to that nuclear site would have been devastation. But this goes to show the mentality of the Russian military and the Russian leadership. If they are willing to risk damage and a nuclear explosion as a result of targeting these sites, you can think of what they're willing to lose. They're willing to lose a lot. They're willing to lose a lot for the sake of achieving a control over Kiev. And this, I mean, we will see how it reflects on the ground. Like I said, it will depend on the Russian soldiers on the ground and their morale. And I think we have seen nearly no morale to the Russian soldiers, and they've really given up very quickly. And part of the reason is because there haven't been, I think, direct casualties within every category of the Russian military. I think there has been some specific targets to specific parts of the convoys. There's been targeted to a specific group of the Russian soldiers. But I think as a whole, the Russian military has not felt that they've lost control of the situation. Yes, I think they thought they should have advanced a bit faster, but I still see the Russian military seeing that they have full control of what is happening. And this is not just the Russian military making those claims, this is the Ukrainian leadership making those claims. Like I said a little while ago, when Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, goes out and says, we need to negotiate with Putin, we need to. And it's not because we like to. There's no way to end this war without Putin agreeing to it, without Putin ending this war. This is showing that full control is really in the control of the Russian leadership and the Russian army. And this is by the claims of the Ukrainian leadership. Again, still anything that could happen on the ground. There's nothing definitive, and this is how and this is flex it.
Alright guys, make sure you guys do hit the like button. Let's get 500 likes. Let's make that the milestone. If you're not sharing this video, make sure you share it. And if you want to support us, buy us a cup of coffee, because we're going to be streaming for an extremely long time. Or you have any questions that you want to ask, feel free to click the super chat button. It's really hard to read messages because there's hundreds of messages right now, so the super chat button really makes it clear. And of course, if you want to buy us a cup of coffee, you can do that as well. Nonetheless, guys, we're watching live what's going on in Ukraine. There's an intense amount of gunfire as of now that can be heard in the background, and again, you can probably hear it if you really try and pay attention. Constant gunfire, and again, lots of planes in the sky of the Ukrainian capital. This kind of proves right now that it is intensifying, and I've been reading a lot about what are these possible actions that we're seeing right here. A lot of these air sirens are triggered when an airplane or something invades into Kiev's airspace, and this could be done for multiple reasons. Maybe the Russians are trying to put in an attack to maybe destroy one of the air defense systems, or maybe this is once again their symbolize their excuse that if they go ahead and try and really invade it and really they get casualties, their way out is to say, we gave them warnings, we told them, Putin already made it clear, he said, leave Kiev because we're going to be basically invading it. They've said that they're going to be putting any offensive to reach their goal, they don't care. And they're going to also say that, look, we even we made their silent ring so that they can all leave Kiev, and that's his way out, and maybe that's his excuse. We don't know, but these are
I really think that these sirens are of Russian forces, Russian airplanes and air fighter jets attempting to enter the city. I don't think there's a wide-scale right now ability for the Russian Air Force to enter the airspace of Kiev. I think there still exists some air defense system within Kiev that is scaring off a lot of these planes. And you're hearing that clearly. You're hearing the sirens come in and out within a few minutes. So it's clear that the Russian forces don't have control of the airspace over Kiev. This is a big advantage to the Ukrainian army in the capital. But keep in mind that the next in line, I believe, by the Russian forces is those air defense systems. Once those air defense systems are taken out, you're going to see some serious bombardment of the city. I think we've yet to see any real bombardment over the city of Kiev. We've seen that in other cities in Ukraine, but in Kiev, we've seen some sporadic bombardment. So you're getting airplanes that are getting in, throwing these bombs, and running away because there's still significant air defense systems. Keep in mind that the vast majority of the Ukrainian army had retreated, right? As the Russian forces were advancing towards Kiev, they experienced very little resistance until they got to Kiev. And that is because of the Ukrainian military, the vast majority had retrieved to the capital to defend this vital city. They know that if they lose Kiev, they have lost this war. So with the vast majority of the Ukrainian military back up into Kiev, that includes their military artillery, includes air defense systems. So really, you're looking at a big fight that's about to brew. But really, what the Ukrainian army should be keeping an eye on right now is making sure they defend the air defense systems, and they are making it clear to the international community that they're unable to do that. If they had full capacity and control over maintaining their air defense systems, they would not be begging the international community to enforce a no-fly zone over Kiev. So this is the Ukrainian military going out and saying, we're about to lose our air defense systems. We need you to enforce a no-fly zone. So this is very risky and very bad news for the people of Kiev and for Ukraine. And again, the Ukrainian army and the Ukrainian leadership are not stupid to make that a very clear point to say we've lost our defense systems. This will raise morale for the Russian soldiers. But this is the indirect message that they're trying to give to the international community, that we are going to get highly bombarded by the Russian military the moment we lose our airspace, and we're about to lose our airspace. So bring in a no-fly zone. I think you're going to see a lot more even civilian casualties and targeting of infrastructure in the capital as these air defense systems get lost. Now, we will see when that will happen. I think we are looking in the next couple of hours to see some targeted airstrikes of those defense systems. And once that is down, I think within the hours after that, you will see a full-on massive airstrike campaign by the Russian army. Once you see that massive airstrike campaign, that's when you will know that the Russian ground troops are going to advance. I don't think the Russian ground troops are going to try and advance into the capital without having confirmation that the air defense systems are down and they've been taken out. Remember, as an army, if you are trying to advance without at least ability to have surveillance from the air, forget about airstrikes, you have to be able to see where your soldiers are heading. If you're not able to see where your soldiers are heading on a ground that is not yours, with little understanding of, like I said, the geography and the infrastructure, underground tunnels potentially, and where these Ukrainian soldiers and special forces could potentially pop up to the Russian troops. If you have no view of what is happening on the ground, you're screwed. Especially if you're a formal military, because there's specific campaign and soldiers move in groups, and so if you're not able to view what is ahead of you, you're in trouble. So I think the Russian military is smart enough to know that. And that is why they're holding on the outskirts of Kiev until they have full air control, full domination of the Kiev airspace. Once they have full control of the Kiev airspace, then their soldiers can advance in a controlled manner with airspace surveillance and airspace strikes ahead of them. I've read on that there's a type of military campaign where it's called the burnt ground. So the way that the military advances under the burnt ground strategy is soldiers move up, you completely destroy the ground ahead of you by air. You complete airstrikes ahead to ensure that the ground is clear afterwards, and then the soldiers move ahead. This may be the strategy that Russian forces are attempting to take right now in order to advance further into the capital. But like I said, all of this is contingent on the taking out of the Ukrainian air defense systems in Kiev. Without the removal and destruction of those air defense systems, Russia will have very limited ability of advancing into the capital. But like I said, to the Russian side, and I think this is to their probably pleasure, is that the Ukrainian president himself has made it clear that they will not be able to sustain control of the Kiev airspace for too long. It is looking like by the day that is getting they're losing by minute by minute, they're losing control of the airspace, and you can tell by the amount of sirens that we're hearing. I mean, a week ago, you were barely hearing any sirens over Kiev, and when you were hearing them, you were hearing them every couple hours. Now you're hearing sirens every hour or so. I mean, the other day, just I believe it was yesterday that we saw strikes and we could hear sirens seven that we recorded in 45 minutes. So the Ukrainian army is absolutely losing control of the airspace. Again, guys, if you've not clicked that like button, please be a part of doing that. That like button helps spread out to the world. Our part of what is happening on the ground. As freelance journalists, if you want to call us that, you do your part by clicking that like button, sharing it absolutely with your friends and family, those closest to you, and then on Twitters and Facebooks and all that good stuff. If you want to support us personally and the stream, super chat is a nice way of doing that. Helps pay for the coffee. We're going to try to stream maybe for 24, 48 hours. We'll see what we can do. But so your support in any way is greatly appreciated. Now, I will add one point. The streets of Kiev are awfully quiet today, and this is something I've noticed. Maybe you've noticed it as well, Geek News. They're more quiet than even the last couple of days. What that signifies, we will find out. Is there something that the Ukrainian army and the Ukrainian people know that we don't? We're yet to see. But they were definitely not this quiet yesterday and over the last couple of days. Yes, there was quiet throughout this entire war, but not this level of quiet.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that as well. Honestly, the quietness is one that has been quite unusual. We haven't seen it be this quiet, and that's what kind of really makes us think, what is the plan? What do we not know that they know? And that maybe they don't want others to know. But that being said, there is a big question within regards to the convoy, the Russian convoy heading to Kiev. Again, this was supposed to be heading from 3-4 days ago. Up until now, the majority of it has not arrived to Kiev yet. We've gotten news that there's been delayments due to, possible direct attacks on the convoy, as well as, the Ukrainians had destroyed bridges to slow them down. Do you think it's gonna last forever like this? Like, are they gonna reach Kiev, or are they just gonna constantly have logistical issues, and really a lot of them get targeted as they separate? And this is what we've seen, where Ukraine is kind of targeting them by chunks, and that's their only way that they can. So are we gonna see consistent chunk attacks because of the logistical issues that Russia's having, or is Russia gonna really be able to take control and really get that convoy to reach Kiev?
What I really think has happened, I think that convoy has already reached Kiev. I don't think it is no longer 20. I mean, we're talking about 20 miles away. This was like 3 days ago. So they're obviously at the capital right now. And there's now been clear various reports from various different sources that the capital is being surrounded by Russian troops. So these troops are in position. I think they're preparing to be in exact position, but they are around the capital. I don't think there's no longer a duration of, we think they're going to get there in a couple of days. I think they're already there. But I think they're at the point now where they need the air support. I think that is why I'm putting a lot of stress on them. Because I think right now the Russian forces, and they fear making advancements without air support. So I think this is the next step, and that's why I think bombardments and control of the Kiev airspace is the next step ahead. I think that's what we're looking at right now. We're looking at these sirens, and we're looking at Russia trying to target these air defense systems so that they can get control of the airspace. The moment the Russian army has full control over over Kiev's airspace, you're going to get some major bombardment, and I think it's going to be a quick strikes to all major infrastructure and military targets, and then you will almost near instantly, I believe, see advancements on the troops on the ground. That is when when you see these sudden bombardments and strikes all across Kiev, you know that the Ukrainian air defense system has been taken down and that the Russian ground troops are on their way into the center of Kiev. Up until that point, Russian army is trying to take control of the airspace, and they're trying to have control targets of Ukrainian and particularly Kiev airspace. Now, I will add just for the viewers here, if any of you is interested in being involved in the discussion, you have a point you want to say, you have an opinion, even a different opinion you would like to debate, and we're more than happy to get you involved. You can do that through the Discord. The link for the Discord is in the description. Just go on Discord and message that you're interested in coming on the audio. As long as it's in a respectful manner, we're happy to bring you on to bring your view and your thoughts. If you have experience in anything, let us know. Or if you're in Kiev, happy to hear from you for sure. So join on the Discord. The link for the Discord is in the description. And if anybody in the chat is looking to ask any questions to those that are able to go on the Discord and speak live in here, more than happy to bring your questions forth. But like I said, guys, you're getting live images right now from Kiev, where it's 7:15 a.m. and you're looking at about 45 minutes before the curfew is lifted. So Nicholas says 9,800 Russians have died. I'm not going to comment on particular numbers. I think the number lies somewhere in between what the Russian army is reporting and what the Ukrainian army is reporting. And I think there's a bit of a loss as to the real number of casualties on the Russian side. There's reports of an incinerator, the machine that you burn people in, and that's being carried around with the Russian troops, in expectation of this war. What really matters is not the number of Russian troops that are killed, but how many the Russian leadership is willing to sacrifice of them dying in this war. Then you still have a long way before you give up. So even if there is 10,000 casualties in the Russian force, that doesn't necessarily mean a loss to the Russian troops. It just means that they still have, 10,000, if they're willing to lose 50, is only 20% of casualties. And this is with Russian army having no control of Kiev airspace and them being stalled. They're sitting in one position. Obviously, they're an easy target to any air power that is present, that is still existent in the Ukrainian airspace and air force. So Russia, like I said, them being stalled and being stagnant is very bad for the Russian army, and I think they're likely to experience more casualties, but I think they're okay with losing a lot more. So you still have a long way before we can say that the Russian army have suffered significant losses, but those losses are likely to result in them retreating.
And I just want to connect the dots, and again, this is what we've been discussing. I was just checking right now, and about an hour ago, we got some breaking news from the U.S., and again, the U.S. has been relatively good with really giving timelines and really letting us know what Russia's planning. We've seen their intelligence within regards to Russia as very high. They basically called the war before it even happened by months. But what they've said is they've now got indication that, again, there's some gunfire right now that can be heard. But
if there's gunfire, let's raise the audio and have that chat.
Mm-hmm. But the U.S. has said right now that they suspect and they warn that officially Moscow could start bombarding cities into submission. And again,
and I said, I think that is what will happen to Kiev. What I am having a hard time kind of understanding or realizing if Kiev is bombarded and it's bombed and they target civilians, what will happen next? Are the Ukrainian people going to open their doors and let the Russian troops in, thinking we will take the least amount of losses at least and be okay with it and try to avoid more losses? Or are they going to say, we've lost a lot, there's not much to lose after that? So it is really going to depend on, I guess, the severity of the losses and the mentality of the Ukrainian people. The way it's seeming right now is that they're going to say, we've suffered, we've had these losses, we have nothing more to lose, and we're going to fight on until the last breath that we have. But again, the situation on the ground is volatile. Things change every second, and it is hard to tell how things will progress.
Mm-hmm. Again, we will really only see what happens as it happens, and that's why we're trying to give you guys all the latest news, really. Again, it's been quite intense in the Ukrainian capital. As of now, actually relatively quiet from the sirens earlier. But we are still seeing Russia firm on its decision that it will take Kiev and will really put anything in its way, you know, as part of the casualty list. Because they have
Yeah,
a goal.
I think Russia wants Kiev, and I think they will not. This war will not end without a decisive decision on who controls Kiev. And I think a decisive decision. I think Putin is ready to lose his entire military that has been sent into Ukraine in an attempt to capture Kiev. I think if he loses the military, then he won't enter Kiev. But I think there's no other way that he will leave Kiev uncaptured by the Russian army. It looks bad on him, and I mean, if we're talking about 10,000 soldiers killed, this is the Russian people potentially flipping on Putin, saying you've achieved nothing. Only thing we see are dead Russian soldiers, and you didn't even accomplish the mission that you set out to accomplish. At least if he sets out to accomplish the capture of Kiev and he accomplishes that, even if you have 20,000 soldiers dead, he can say, I accomplished my mission.
Yeah, I guess.
And again, I ask guys, if you have a different opinion, you have thoughts, you have an opinion, or even if you're on the opposite side, a completely different view, we're happy to hear it, and we're happy to have you speak live on the stream. The Discord link is in the description. Join on the Discord. We will set you up, and you'll be able to talk and bring forth your opinion. We only ask that it be in a respectful manner, right? Regardless of what your opinion is, as long as it's mentioned in a respectful manner, we're more than happy to put you in front of the audience. And if we have any questions or, we're able to bring those forth to you, we will. So if you're interested in that, the link for the Discord is in the description. Go ahead, go on the Discord, say I would like to speak on your live stream, and we will put you through.
Of course, and make sure, guys, you do support the channel and you let people know what's going on. So share this live stream, hit the like button, of course, do your part. And if you want to help us out and maybe buy us a cup of coffee, you can use that super chat button or even the join button and become a member of the channel.
So, guys, most important thing is, we're trying to be, freelance journalists and kind of giving you the image on the ground of what is happening on the ground right now in the capital Kiev and in Ukraine. And, that is our part. That is what we can do as YouTubers, as streamers. And we ask that you do your part in sharing the stream, spreading the message, clicking the like button. Like button is a click away, and it helps. It's part of the YouTube algorithm. It shows the video more often. And if you share it with your friends and family so they're aware, and with, our Twitters and Facebooks, all that good stuff that you guys can share it on, we would very much appreciate it. We will try and stream for you guys as long as need be, even if it means 24, 48 hours, whatever needed. Until our eyes are completely closed. We even stream with a half eye open. We'll survive on coffee and energy drinks if need be, but we ask for your support. Relax Live says, and it looks like Nancy Pelosi was trying. Frank says, Putin is no Hitler. Mike R says, Biden is Hitler. Tim Fox says, what is the weather for? Oh, talking about the weather. Jack Robinson says, Putin is nuclear Hitler. Ina Divenport says, every country has racists in the military. Bozo. You guys are getting live images from the capital of Ukraine, Kiev, as we await the offensive by the Russian army into the capital. We heard sirens a little while ago, and the reports out the Russian military has surrounded the capital. Ralph says, you guys are just hypocrites. When it's Syrians getting killed, you close your eyes. But now it's Ukraine, and everyone cares all of a sudden. Anuj Gajar says, huge love and respect for Ukraine from India. Thanks, Anuj. RW says USA should capture the world before everybody goes to Mars.
Again, guys, if anybody has an opinion, any comments that you think were not mentioned, any news, or if you're on the ground in Ukraine, feel free to go ahead and join the Discord below in the description. We're more than happy to hear what you have to say as long as it's respectful. So
We will
hop on
put you
in.
live on the audio, in the stream, audio in the stream. You can talk. Let us know what is happening on the ground. If you are in Kiev or in Ukraine, if you have a different opinion, or you have any thoughts, or you just want to share your opinion, we're more than happy to put you live as well, and you can share your opinion on the stream. Relch, Richard Palmer says Russia's pathetic. Can't even project influence to a small neighboring countries without military force and threat of nuclear weapons.
David C says, how do these cities still have electricity?
Well, they actually, what you're not seeing is that there is a good chunk of the city that doesn't have electricity, and even in terms of internet, right now, the vast majority of Kiev is cut from internet. Except there's a Starlink, I believe it's through Elon Musk that's it's active, and even Elon Musk mentioned a tweet that it is likely to get targeted as well.
Yeah, I read Elon Musk also saying like as of now, a lot of Kiev doesn't have power, and so he was recommending them because those satellites require power that use solar panels or batteries because there is no electricity right now in a lot of Kiev and a lot of Ukraine as a whole.
Fuck says, how much of Ukraine has power? There's no definitive numbers as things sit right now, but a big part of the capital, Kiev, is out of power right now. Papo says, Russia might disintegrate into smaller countries soon, very soon. Jen's Hangout says, this is sadly all about money and power. War is a money maker, sadly.
I think in this case, though, Russia lost a lot of money. I don't think they made money.
I don't think Russia was in this for money. I think they were in this out of Putin's pride and ego. I think Putin is right now targeting the president of Ukraine specifically. I think they will go after him once they enter Kiev. I really think that the moment that the Russian army go in, they will hunt for the president of Ukraine, Zelensky. And actually, he survived 3 assassination attempts just within the last couple of days. Jack Robinson says Putin is Hitler. Goldman says, I think the U.S. military industrial complex made good money, though. Demon says, Ukraine will fall. It's just a matter of time. I do agree that I think that the Kiev will fall. I do think it is a matter of time. But I think how big of a casualty it will be for the Russian army is what's going to be the difference. Whether they hit the Russian army hard before or they don't, that is it. Jack says Russia is going to need a new president. Jack says nail Russia to the cross. Jackson says Putin is Hitler. Everyone's saying Putin is Hitler. Again, guys, I know it probably made you sick by this, but if you've not yet clicked the like button, we really appreciate your support. Please do that. If you're not a subscriber, click that subscribe button. It helps us out. It's a click away, guys. And we really appreciate it. Make sure you share it with your friends and family and those closest to you. It would mean a lot to us, and we're going to try and stream for you guys, even if it means, half eye open, while we give you guys the latest news and most updated images and live stream live of what is happening right now in the capital. We will do that. We just ask for your support. Alice says Russia helped save democracy with 30 million deaths in World War II. Nodal says Hitler is Hitler. Putin is worse.
Again, guys, if you would like to come on, all you have to do is when you join the Discord, just message that you'd like to come on to put in a comment or a question or whatever. Just so that the moderators really know.
The link for the Discord is in the description. So just click on the link for the Discord. You go into Discord, in the chat, just message that you're interested in speaking on the live stream. We will get you in. Again, as long as it's in a respectful manner, we're more than happy. You guys are getting live images from the capital of Kiev as we await the likely advancement of Russian troops that have surrounded the city. Right now, it is 7:30 a.m. right now in the capital, Kiev. And right now, we are 30 minutes away from the curfew being lifted. The curfew is from 5 p.m. to 8 in the morning. So in about 30 minutes, that curfew will be lifted. And we will see if there's any change to the amount of people and the presence on the ground. We did hear sirens a little while ago for those of you that are joining, that just recently joined. But we did not notice any airstrikes. A lot more air activity than in prior days. Okay, did I hear someone in the Discord?
Yeah, possibly.
Again, guys, live images from the capital of Kiev. Right now it's 7:30 in the capital. It is a bit quiet, a bit more quiet than usual, but I guess it's a weekend and it's early mornings. And there's a lot of fear right now in Kiev. I know that yesterday and the day before, we had some contacts in the capital, and there were reports of more families leaving the capital out of fear. For those of you that are just joining, you are looking at live images right now from the capital of Ukraine, Kiev, that has been surrounded by Russian troops as we await further developments in what is going on right now. We heard some sirens a little while ago. It appears like Russian air troops advanced into the airspace, and then those stopped. We didn't see any airstrikes, however, so that's a good sign. If you've not clicked the like button, please don't forget to do that. It helps the stream. And make sure you share this with your friends and family and those closest to you. My voice seems to be going away because I'm talking so much, but that's okay.
All right, so we do have a guest, and just a bit of background for what he said. He's an ordinary Russian pro-Putin citizen, and he'd like to just give us his insight and his opinion as an ordinary Russian citizen. So we'll bring him in right now. Hello. Let's hop him in here. Hello? All right, guys. So once again, we are live. We have a few people in that would like to speak again. We'll hopefully bring them on. If any. All right, guys, you're getting live images from the capital of Kiev right now. As we, like I said, we wait the possible advancement of the Russian troops. Again, a little while ago, you heard airstrikes, or not airstrikes, apologies, sirens go off. We did not see an airstrike, but that was clear that it looked like some advancement by Russian air troops. Now we have 3 of you online that are looking to state their opinion on the live chat, so we will be bringing those in. One of them is a pro, is Russian and wants to put his view of what is going on. We respect everyone's view, and as long as it's done in a respectful manner, we will hear what everyone has to say. If you're interested in putting your opinion as well, or you want to state your opinion on the live stream, go ahead and join on the Discord. Just let us know, and we'll put you on the list, and you can come out and speak. Again, as long as it's done in a respectful manner, we are happy to get whoever wants to speak on, and we hear their opinion. If you have any questions for those that are on speaking, feel free to send those questions in the chat. And I know there's a lot of questions. Last time we did this, there was a ton of questions. Hard to keep track. So if we missed your question, don't be upset. Just know that we're trying to see as many questions as we can. Usually, not that you have to, but super chat makes it clearer, easier, and we can see it that way. So if you want to do it that way, you can do it that way. If you want to just ask it in the chat, you can do that too. And if we see it, we will ask it. Without further ado, we will see who's next in line, and we'll bring them forth and see what we have, what they have to say. Hello? Testing? Right, this should. Oh. Okay, test.
You can call me Artie. Hello. Please repeat. Oh, of course. Not. Oh, nice. Yes.
Let's see. All right, guys. So we are with Artie right here. He is gonna give us a bit of a background first. Welcome Artie in, and welcome Artie or Art. Would you like to give us a bit of a background and yeah, and then
Okay. Yeah, my name is Artie. I live in Russia. I live in Siberia, in Republic of Altai region. It's south of Russia, near the border with Mongolia, China, Kazakhstan. Yeah, I'm 40 years old, and as I wrote in the chat, I'm pro-Putin, but ordinary citizen of our country. Yeah, and I told another guy that I'm being pro-Putin, like I join elections and vote for Putin since 2000.
yeah, so quite some time.
Yeah. Well, it means the whole time in power, I vote for him. Yeah.
So what do you think of this whole Ukrainian Russian thing, and what side are you on right now, or what do you as a Russian individual believe?
Yeah, it's a tough issue because they say that both sides are Slavic, like Russians and Ukrainians are brothers, so on. But the matter is Asian by race, like Mongoloid race. I come from Yakutian and Altai people of Russia. We are Turks, like